Hello everyone, this is Kyuhabe. In this broadcast, I would like to introduce a review of something that happened recently. This is a review of the US presidential election candidate debate hosted by CNN. The debate was held about 4 months before the election, after the Democratic and Republican parties had selected presidential candidates. The discussion time was approximately 1 hour and 35 minutes, excluding advertising time. This debate established a rule to mute the microphone when a debater who did not receive the right to speak speaks. The two candidates agreed to these regulations, the moderator announced. As a result, incidents like the last presidential election, where the other party is interrupted, or when both candidates speak at the same time, making it difficult to understand the candidates, have decreased significantly. First, the host pointed out the rise in prices. Candidate Biden stated that he succeeded in creating jobs despite the aftermath of COVID-19. Candidate Trump claimed when he was in power, the COVID-19 fatality rate was lower, and the economy was much better during his time in office. Afterwards, they moved on to the next agenda without much debate. Tax cuts were mentioned. Candidate Trump said, "We cut taxes on the largest scale during his administration, and as a result, we secured a lot of corporate tax revenue." This is the part where it was claimed that there was a trickle-down effect. He believes that there is a trickle-down effect, despite criticism that there will be no trickle-down effect or that it will be minimal. I think it is important to check the facts. The moderator mentioned the Roe v. Wade decision. This is a ruling from the federal Supreme Court dealing with abortion rights. The first ruling largely guarantees abortion rights, but the second severely restricts abortion. Candidate Trump claimed no one wants abortion, regardless of whether they are conservative or progressive, but he did not provide any evidence to prove this. He then claimed if candidate Biden's argument is followed, even a full-term fetus can be aborted. Then candidate Biden said, contrary to candidate Trump's remarks, abortion is not possible for full-term fetuses except for exceptions. He then said, if I take office again, I will restore the Roe v. Wade decision. Since there was a difference in position that has been known for a long time, I think there was nothing particularly new about it. They covered the story of immigration policy. Candidate Trump claimed the Biden administration opened the border, allowing immigrants to take jobs and commit terrorism. Candidate Trump did not provide any evidence to prove this either. Candidate Biden refuted that candidate Trump's remarks were not all true. The story of honoring veterans came up. Candidate Trump claimed the Biden administration doesn't care whether veterans sit on the street or not. Candidate Biden refuted, saying the Biden administration treated veterans more honorably than any previous administration. I thought it is important to confirm the facts for voters who are confused by repeated truth battles. The host asked candidate Trump, are President Vladimir Putin's demands acceptable? These include the withdrawal of Ukrainian troops from Russian-occupied Ukraine and Ukraine's abandonment of NATO membership. Candidate Trump responded, unacceptable. He then argued that if the person respected had been the President of the United States, President Vladimir Putin would not have started the war in the first place. He then repeatedly pressed NATO must pay its defense costs properly. For reference, even before the debate, candidate Trump said if NATO member countries do not properly pay their defense costs, we can encourage Russia to invade. Candidate Biden said President Vladimir Putin's ambitions are endless. Do you think he will be satisfied with just the occupation of Ukraine? He wants to rebuild the empire. What will be the next target in Ukraine? He shared his thoughts it was clear that the two candidates had different perspectives on how they approached war. Regarding the Capitol riot that took place on January 6, 2021, asked whether candidate Trump was responsible, he didn't answer the question and was asked the same question again. He denied responsibility. Candidate Biden claimed that candidate Trump was responsible. After listening to the discussion, two things came to mind. The first is, did then President Trump incite the Capitol riot? The second is, even if he did not incite, did he fail to maintain order as a president? I thought that if either of the two were applicable, there is a possibility that it could have a detrimental effect on candidate Trump's presidency. Not long ago, candidate Trump was found guilty in a trial on 34 charges of misconduct. He was asked by the moderator about his position on this. Candidate Trump responded that he was innocent and that the incident occurred due to the problematic performance of prosecutors and judges. Then candidate Biden claimed candidate Trump had sexual intercourse with a porn star while his spouse was pregnant. Candidate Trump immediately denied it. I think this battle for truth is also very important. I think this is because it is a matter of examining what is true, but it is also directly related to the advantage or disadvantage of the candidate ahead of the election. Candidate Biden answered yes to the question asked by the host. Do you think supporters of candidate Trump will vote against American policy? Candidate Trump asked, candidate Biden is the worst president, so is there a need for him to hold a debate? One side claims the other is undemocratic, and one side claims the other is the worst president. I wonder how American voters will evaluate this battle. The host mentioned that black people live in much worse conditions than white people. Candidate Biden said there are both achievements and challenges. He replied, I don't blame black people for being disappointed by what has happened. Candidate Trump then repeated the claim, if we accept immigrants, we will lose jobs. Candidate Trump had a question related to climate change. The question was, are you willing to slow down climate change? He answered yes. Candidate Biden cited Trump's withdrawal from the Paris Climate Agreement and pointed out that he is unqualified to respond to climate change. Candidate Trump then refuted that he withdrew from the Paris Climate Agreement because it costs too much money. At this point, a question arises. Basically, slowing down climate change requires a lot of money. It was questionable whether withdrawing from the Paris Climate Agreement on the grounds that a lot of money is needed would be compatible with candidate Trump's pledge to slow down climate change. Affordable childcare measures were discussed. In response to the host's questions, what plans do you have? Candidate Trump didn't answer the question and briefly answered that he would do the best if he took office. Biden took issue with the fact that the tax cut policy during the Trump administration resulted in a deficit. In the end, he decided that there is a fundamental concern. We need money to maintain the Social Security system, but what will we do to support the country if tax revenue becomes insufficient due to the tax cut policy? They mentioned measures to support drug addicts. Candidate Trump answered they were drug detectors and detection dogs when I was in power. Candidate Biden also mentioned drug detectors and emphasized the need for their introduction. I judged that both candidates lacked measures to treat drug addiction, even though they would take measures to prevent drug addiction. The hosts addressed concerns about their ability to carry out state affairs due to their advanced age. Candidate Biden claimed that he was strong enough to achieve results such as job creation and investment attraction. Candidate Trump claimed, I undergo a physical examination every year and I'm brilliant. What I watched the two candidates in the debate, there was a noticeable difference. Candidate Trump's remarks were loud and clearly pronounced. However, candidate Biden's remarks were small in volume and sounded like his pronunciation was slurred. As a result of watching the debate at the same volume, I understood almost everything candidate Trump said right away. On the other hand, it is memorable that candidate Biden's remarks were not like that. I think this is also related to health. It takes a lot of energy to even speak loudly and clearly. There was a question about concluding the election. Candidate Trump clearly avoided answering the question. Do you accept the election results and oppose any political violence? However, after repeated questions from the moderator, she received the answer. If the election is fair, of course I will concede. I think this is a remark implying if they decide that the election is not fair, that they may not give in. He then said that if candidate Biden takes office, World War III will come. In his final remarks, candidate Biden spoke of their taxation. Some might have judged that the expectation that fair taxation can distribute society's wealth and develop the country. Candidate Trump touted his experience cutting taxes and deregulation during his time in office. Not only has there been a trickle-down effect, it is still valid. He reaffirmed his position. While watching the debate between the two candidates, I was able to discover their own characteristics. Candidate Biden looked difficult as he stood for a long time and continued his argument. Even so, I think he tried to answer the question sincerely. I think candidate Trump told a clear story, clearly and in a loud voice. However, I think questions were not answered straight away, and there were many cases where evidence was not provided when making claims. While watching this debate, I had some regrets. Although it dealt with the lives of black people, it did not deal with the entirety of racial discrimination, and it did not deal with gun crime. Also, unlike in the past, where the candidates would exchange questions after the moderator gave a presentation, it was difficult to discover the candidates' debating skills and true colors as the candidates answered the moderator's questions. Although there was quite a bit of disappointment, we used it as an opportunity to once again recall the characteristics of the two candidates. I will shorten the broadcast. Thank you for your attention.